Okay, let's continue on with part two. Um, here, let's look at part B. Says using the intervals you computed in part A, compare the three mutual funds with respect to average yearly returns and with respect to variability of return. Basically, obviously, you want the fund that has the highest return, but you want the highest consistent return. Well, if I look at all three funds, I have 10.93, I have 13% return, and I have 34.45. Well, obviously the one with the highest return is the highest yearly mean average return is Jacob Internet Fund, but it doesn't mean it's the most consistent. The one with the lowest variability, which means the one that possibly is going to vary the least, will be this fund at 9.36. The other ones have a high variability, even though this one has a high return. So the way you would write this out, going to the solution, um, here we have RS has the lowest average and the highest variability. Franklin has the second lowest average and the smallest variability, so forth and so on. We're just comparing them. Okay. Um, Here's another formula to calculate. This one is more specific. It helps you to look at the standard deviation, which is the spread of the data in comparison to the mean in order to compare investments. It's just another calculation, and it just helps you to compare investments. And this calculation is really specifically for investments. You can use it for other things, but it's most likely used for investments, just to help you determine which one will be a better investment, which investment that has a higher yield, the investment that's the most consistent. It's called the coefficient of variation. Well, with your coefficient of variation, this is your standard deviation divided by the mean. See, a standard deviation with respect to the mean times 100, and it'll just change the value to a percent. And if we look over here to the actual solution, um, we have the RS Internet Age Fund coefficient of variation 41.96, which was the standard deviation, divided by the mean, which was 10.93, times 100. They just changed that value to a percent, which gave us 383.9%. Well, here we do the same thing for each one, and now we have just one way or one value to compare the different investments. And notice here, the the one with the highest coefficient of variation, it varies the most, which means it's going to be the riskiest investment in comparison to the other investments. So here, this is the highest value. This is your RS Internet. The other one is this one here, 119, which is your Jacob, and then the other one is the Franklin Fund. That's it. Let's go back and make sure we answer all of the questions. Um, Here it says use the intervals. We already did that one. Part C says calculate the coefficient of variation for each mutual fund and use your results to compare the funds with respect to the risk. Which fund is riskiest? And that's it for problem 3.27.